Welcome back to The Division 2. In this video I want to talk to you mainly about gear sets, but the reason I'm doing it is because I do strongly believe some of the gear needs to be removed from the game, weapons as well, because it gets to a major title update, so 10, 11, 9, not any of the .1s, .2s, but when it gets to a major title update, they normally add in some new weapons, some new brand sets, some new gear sets. And the more that come into the game, the harder it's going to be to put builds together. You can obviously do targeted loot, but that's why I did this with the gear sets, because to get a gear set built together, you have a lot of work that needs to go into actually farming the pieces, because they haven't split the gear sets up. When you go for targeted loot, it's all gear sets stuck together. You don't have, for example, an aces and eights gear set targeted loot mission. You're not going to have a tip of the spear targeted loot or a striker's targeted loot. They are all thrown in together, and when you're playing PvE content, you have 10 different gear sets that you are able to get. So what I did was some data collection. I did 4 different runs with different player group sizes and stuff, and I managed to get 61 gear set drops between everyone that was playing. In those 4 runs there were 61 drops. A very odd number, but that's what we ended up with after our 4th and final run. And I thought the numbers would be a little bit closer to 10%, seeing as there are 10 gear sets. I know it's all randomly generated, but there is also some item weight in there as well, from what I believe, because I was farming for Hannah Yu a little while back, and I was getting a lot more of the masks, holsters, knees and gloves than what I did of the backpacks and the chests. But the other night I was going to try and farm some pieces from Federal Emergency Bunker when that was targeted loot for gear sets. I was trying to put together a shield build with Foundry Bulwark. Foundry Bulwark is one of the new ones that come into the game with the raid. Well, it dropped, I believe it was a week before Season 2, but is known as a raid gear set because the backpack and the chest are locked behind raid number 2. Foundry Bulwark and Future Initiative are exactly the same. They are, the backpack and the chest are locked away, but the other 4 pieces you can get from the open world. Doing any other activity in the game, you can get them to drop. I was going for Foundry Bulwark and it seemed pretty much impossible. I did a lot of runs in a 4-player group. There were a couple of us trying to get a Foundry Bulwark build together and we just couldn't do it. There are only 4 pieces available to get because of the raid exclusive pieces, but even those were seeming a nightmare to get our hands on. We must have done 10, 15 plus runs on heroic difficulty, 4 players in the group at all times, and I don't even think we got double figure drops for Foundry Bulwark. So what I did was run Space Admin HQ, which was when I was doing the data collection. That was the mission that was set up for the gear set targeted loot, and I had 61 drops. I had 7 tip of the spear, 10 negotiators dilemma, 7 strikers or strikers battle gear, 6 hardwired, only 3 true patriot, 6 eclipse protocol, 5 aces and 8s, 10 ongoing directive, 4 Foundry Bulwark, 3 future initiative. So there are a lot of different numbers in there. It ranges from 3 drops to 10. So Tip of the Spear had an 11.48% drop chance as well as Striker. Negotiator's Dilemma had a 16.39% drop chance as well as ongoing directive. Then you have a 9.84% for Hardwired, only 4.92% drop chance for True Patriot and Future Initiative, 6.56% for Foundry Bulwark, 8.2% for Aces, 9.84% for Eclipse Protocol, and I'm pretty sure that's every single one that I've mentioned. So the numbers range from 4.92% drop chance to 16.39 in the time that I spent going for them, and obviously every single gear set drop you get is going to change those percentages, because if I went and got one more gear set drop, it was True Patriot, that would put that up by, let's just say 1%. The other 9, it would knock them down by, I don't know, 0.11% or something like that. So each drop will change the percentages, but 61 drops, I'd say it's not extensive, but it's a decent amount just over a short period of time. I didn't want to sit there and just do like a week's worth of research into this, because it really, in my opinion, doesn't need that much work put into it. You don't need that much data collection for it. So what I believe the developers should do is take a look using internal tools or whatever, do some data collection, see which pieces aren't being used too much in builds. Because if you look at the percentages I got for my drop chances, if you just remove Negotiator's Dilemma and Ongoing Directive, it's a lot more balanced. because I had 3, like, literally pieces between 3 drops and 7. Whereas because Negotiator's Dilemma and Ongoing Directive are included in that, it ranged from 3 to 10 drops for each gear set. If they weren't to remove anything from the game, the other thing they could do is separate the gear sets to make it easier. So you would have Foundry Bulwark targeted loot, you would have Future Initiative targeted loot. I like the idea of having some hybrid builds. I use 3-piece hardwired with my skill build, but it's hard to get the pieces that you need when they are tied in together. They're all just put behind one single category, and there's a lot inside that category. There are literally 10 gear sets you can get, so it makes building in this game a lot tougher than what it should be, in my opinion. In terms of brand sets, there are 21, but they are separated, so it's not anywhere near as bad. Still, I'd say that you don't need 21 different brand sets in the game. I believe that's far too many. You should maybe have a few different variations for each of the categories of builds. So DPS, skills, and, well, like utility, and then survivability. Or maybe add in a 4th category being hybrid, and then, I don't know, maybe have 3 different brand sets available for each. So you'd have 12 brand sets in total. There were 16 before Warlords, and then Warlords introduced another 5. Or since Warlords, there's been another 5 brand sets brought in. So there is a lot of different loot in this game, and even sometimes going for targeted loot, it's hard to get the good rolls because that's another part of the RNG, which makes putting builds together really tough. But I thought I'd do a little bit of research and data collection and work out the drop chances. I was surprised to see True Patriot not dropping anywhere near as much as, say, Hardwired or Aces and Eights, for example. I was baffled when I only got 3 drops, the same amount as what I did for Future Initiative. But I've always noticed that Negotiator's Dilemma and Ongoing Directive are really, really common. But what I'm going to do is leave the video there. I would like to see at some point, or I hope to see at some point, the brand sets and the gear sets, maybe a couple being removed or something, or a different workaround so that it's not so hard, especially when you're going for gear sets, to put different builds together. Because if the more they keep adding to the game without like reworking some of them, removing some of them from the game, we could eventually, if they go, okay, we're not going to make a Division 3, we'll just carry on with Division 2, if they carry on, we could see 30, 40 different gear sets in a few years, and it will be bloody impossible to put a build together because your chances of getting the one you need will be very, very slim. But let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments. That's going to do it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.